lied to feminist women talking about how wonderful their life is because they don't have a husband, they don't have children. So they're showing, oh, today I slept in, I went to the spa, I went to Belize. They just talk about how nice their life is because they don't have the inconvenience of a husband and children. And these are young women who have been perpetually lied to. And I'm just telling you, if they do a follow-up at 50, they're not going to be happy. They're going to be working late. They're going to be lonely. They're going to have 7 cats and a couple of STDs. And then at Christmas, they're going to be all alone, very sad. And what they're not going to post is, I'm winning.
By now, you're all aware of the loneliness epidemic that's going on with single men. And what I find really interesting is the amount of men that are coming to their aid. And rather than trying to encourage these men to be better catches, to encourage these men to be better partners, they'd rather try to guilt trip and shame women for not choosing them. Whether it's Tyler Perry saying, even if all he could do is pay the light bill, if he loves you, take him. And now you have this pastor. A pastor sounds like he's listening to these manosphere podcasts. Even the pastor is saying that you're going to die alone. Even the pastor is saying that you might as well get you some cats. You didn't get that out of a Bible, pastor, but you did get it from a podcast. Why not tell these men to be better? Why not tell them to be more emotionally intelligent and to help out around the house and to be caring and thoughtful and loving and to not think that everything revolves around them? As soon as women start decentering men, you start seeing men from the pulpit to the parking lot, sliding down the wall, throwing up and crying and all of that. It's like, they'll do anything but change. They'll do anything but improve. They'll do anything but be a better mate. So now you have this pastor trying to guilt trip and shame women for not choosing these men. There's a reason why they're not getting picked. You tell women to pick better, and when we're not picking you, you get mad about it. It's because you're not better. Telling a woman that she'll be better off with just any of these men than being alone? There are worse things than being single. There are worse things than being alone. The worst thing is actually being with somebody that makes you feel alone. But here they are from the pulpit pushing on you. You know what? You better get somebody because you're getting older. So is he. And if he's worried about being older and being alone, then he better step it up. I'm not even a single woman, but it's exhausting to me the amount of people that don't believe that you can be single and be happy. They could believe that you could be a George Clooney and a Leonardo DiCaprio. You could be a bachelor in your 30s and 40s and 50s and nobody bats an eye. I bet he's having the time of his life. But if a woman does it, oh, I'm sure she's miserable. Not every woman is built for that. Not every woman wants that. But she's selfish if she doesn't choose that. Because her life is all supposed to be about service and servitude to some dusty man. They hear you, pastor, but they're not buying it. They're not going to let you convince them that they're not happy when they know that they are. They would much rather be single and selective and waiting until they find somebody that's worthy of their choice than just settle for anybody because the men out here are lonely. They're going to stay that way until they make themselves better choices. There's a woman on here that has 2 dogs and they are absolutely adorable. And she takes really good care of those dogs. Like she bathes them, gives them these like spa treatment for the dogs. I'm talking about cooking steaks for the dogs. Like the dogs eat better than some human beings. And it's just a single woman just taking care of those dogs who treats them like they're her children. The men in the comment section, the way that they are jealous of literal animals, the way that these puppies have these men, they're boxers in a bunch. It is insane. But they feel like all that effort is wasted. Like, because they want one of them to deserve all that effort. Why isn't she making a steak for one of us? Why isn't she clipping our toenails? Why isn't she like, sir? Some of these men, they only think that women are here for their utility. You're only here to be in service to one of them. So if you're out here and you're not serving one of them, they feel like your life is being wasted. How dare you cook and clean and you're not doing it for one of us? Child.
She's not single because she can't get a man. She's single because every time she focuses on somebody, they show her exactly why she's better off alone.
So I went out tonight for the first time in 2 weeks and I enjoyed myself. I had some sushi. I also sat with 2 different groups of people, and the second included a married couple. I watched this bald, thumb-headed looking man break his neck to watch probably a 21-year-old girl in like low-rise camo pants and a crop top walked by in front of his wife. He broke his neck and stared at this young lady so long. I got uncomfortable and embarrassed for this woman who was married to this dude. And when I tell you I stood up and said, y'all have a good night, and left with a quickness, I have a lot of compassion for that woman, but it won't be me. You will not see me be loyal to a disloyal man. And they're the exception to the rule.
Natural protectors, providers, or leaders.
First of all, let me just say, I love men. I really do. I have 3 sons. My father lives here. I adore them all. And I'm single by choice. I've been divorced for 7 years. I have dated a lot of men during that time. I've had a couple boyfriends, whatever. I know I love being with a man. And right now, maybe it's a generational thing or like an age thing, but I can't date. Men are not in a good place right now. They are lonely and not dealing with it. They are sad and not dealing with it. And I don't want my sons to grow up like that. And I'm deconstructing the patriarchy and trying to figure out what the best way is to help them. And I really don't know what it is.
I see the single woman's movement is driving controlling men absolutely insane. They doing whatever they know how to do, insult, belittle, threaten.
Yep.
Meanwhile, men like me, we're not concerned about it. Because for me, I know that my wife's love and honor and respect for me is freely given.
Facts.
It's not forced. Because I know how to treat her not only as a woman, but as a human being.
I mean,
hey everyone, it's your favorite single black mom millennial introvert here, Samantha. I wanted to talk today about marriage. Dun, dun, dun. No, I'm joking. But no, for real. I want to talk about marriage today. So, this is a topic that's been on my mind for a while. And you all know I love to broach the taboo topics that no one else is talking about, but we need to have the conversation. So yeah, I feel like we don't talk enough about people, single mothers, especially black single mothers, because black males do not even like getting married either. But I wouldn't say either. Okay, let me rewind. Okay, so basically, black males do not like marriage because it means they have to be men and actually protect and provide. It gives them responsibilities that they really don't want to have. So let's just get that out of the way. And so black women, or just women in general, single mothers, I wanted to talk about the women who don't want to be married. Like, we have children. We could have up to 5, 6, 7, 8 children, and we don't want to be married. And people just seem like they don't know how to process that information. So I'm guessing in other cultures or somewhere, everybody's like wanting to be married or dreaming about marriage or fantasizing about marriage. I have no clue. I guess it's because of Disney and the fairy tales and the princesses with the princes, or I don't know. But people like me exist. There are people out here who do not want to be married. We don't want to get married ever again. We have our children. You're not going to convince us that marriage is a prize. It's not going to happen, especially if that person's been married before. The jig is up. They've already done it and they don't like it very much. There's like some statistics that basically when men or males get divorced from their wives, like, you know, like once the divorce happens, I'm not saying they get divorced because usually males are not initiating anything, but once people divorce, the male is more likely to remarry, and I've seen them do it very quickly, like before the ink is even dry on the divorce papers. But the women, not so much. Let's talk about that one guy, like for instance, what's his name? Steve Peterson? It's like something Peterson. What the heck was his name? He got married 4 times. What is his name? It had to be Steve Peterson, right? Drew Peterson. I knew I was saying it wrong. He was married 4 times and he killed like 4 women. I really have that kind of stuff confuses me, because I'm just like, did you not know that his other wife died, was murdered? Did you not know that? So, okay, this is weird. So for all their spouses, they put that he got divorced from all of them. And the last one has been missing since 2007. And this guy's a former police officer. People do not even realize, I don't think, like how violent police officers are. So when I was dating my kid's father, he is a whole narcissist. It was a very abusive situation. But when I was dating him, I remember him telling me he was thinking about becoming a cop. And I told him, if you become a cop, I'm absolutely not going to be with you anymore. Like, it was already bad already. And he had the nerve to think he was going to become a cop and that I was going to stay married to him. And you might be wondering, like, oh, what's the big deal? Like, that's a good job, him becoming a cop, blah, blah, blah. Negative. It's like the worst thing that a victim could do to themselves is remain in a relationship with a narcissist who becomes a cop. I kind of feel like maybe most cops are narcissists, but that's neither here nor there. They do have a very high rate of DV. And so I just tell them straight up, like, if you go try to do that, I am not going to be with you anymore. It's really kind of interesting. Drew Peterson is a serial killer. He was in the Army, and he briefly lived in Falls Church, Virginia, which is like close to where I'm from or where I grew up. And that was in 1974, so I wasn't like even there yet. And then somehow he ended up in the suburb of Chicago, in a little suburb or whatever, city. But yeah, just an interesting resume here and history or biography or whatever. So the thing that's weird to me is alleged a history of domestic violence during her 10-year marriage to Peterson, as did her daughter, who lived in the house until she was 17. So Stacey Ann, wait, who's Stacey Ann? Connie told me that during their marriage, Peterson threatened to kill her. What? Oh, okay. So Stacey Ann is the one that's okay. So he's been married 4 times, you all. Let's jump on this study real quick, because that's just depressing. I'm like, how did you? I guess when I have more time, like, I just want to know, like, how did you get women to marry you when you were already a divorced person? And I guess we could talk about like how men do not. I'm gonna say men to make it easier to speak, but I really think of them as males. But I'll use it interchangeably today. But men do not typically get the same stigma, once more, that women get when we are divorced. Like, I don't think they get the same, like, shaming and judgment that women get. Divorced remarry rates. Remarry divorce rates. Okay, so let's see here. So this, I don't know when this was written. I'm trying to get as recent as possible. So let's say 2023. Oh, this is too funny to say. Okay, so my phone's been acting really weird lately. There we go. What is going on here? 1 second. So, okay, so it says that these are the divorce statistics in 2023. So most people have heard that half of all marriages end in divorce, but is there more to the story? These divorce statistics shed more light on when and how marriages come to an end in the United States. So key divorce statistics in 2023. In 2021, a total of 689,308 divorces occurred across the U.S., 45 U.S. states that report the statistics. So that means that there's possibly more, almost guaranteed there's more. They just don't report their statistics in like 5 of our states, I guess. So during that same year, 1,985,072 marriages occurred, making the U.S. marriage rate 6 per 1,000 people. So basically every 1,000 people, 6 of those people are married, I guess. So far more people get married over the course of each year than get divorced. These divorce statistics show that what happens to marriages at the end, and when and how couples decide to end them. So how many marriages end in divorce? So what? Okay, anyways, let's just jump in. They're gonna just drag. Only first marriages. Okay, so only half of first marriages end in divorce. So if it's only, when it comes to first marriages, half of which are dissolved. The second and third marriages actually fail at a far higher rate. And I feel like that's because people now know there is life after divorce. And they've already done it. And they're older. People just get more set in their ways, more, they feel like they're older and wiser, and they know what they want and don't want. So they're not as willing to work with you. And I think, too, people are just a little bit more cynical about love. The more older they get, the more heartbreak they have. They just the fairy tale dust is gone. So it's definitely like a higher chance you're going to get a divorce on the second and third marriages. So it says, when do couples divorce? So when marriages end, usually some time has passed since the wedding. In fact, the average length of a marriage prior to divorce is 8 years, which is so funny. It used to be 7 years. So I guess people are like hanging in there for like an extra year. And we don't know why. It could be finances. It could be because we have kids. Like, I honestly think it's finances. Things are so much more expensive. I think that is like kind of making people a little bit more hesitant to pull the plug on their bad marriage. So it says, how long does divorce take and how much does it cost? Divorces take time. I think they said on average is $7,000. What happens after the divorce? So many who divorce don't give up on the institution of marriage, though. This is where I just totally differ from these people. So a total of 64% of men and 52% of women get married again after their marriage has ended. Yikes. So we're basically saying that the second and third marriages fail at a far higher rate. Honestly, I don't think people realize that. I don't think people know that statistic, because I really don't hear people saying it. I hear people talking about the first marriage, like, oh, most marriages end in divorce, or half the marriages, you have 50% chance of your marriage working or not working, right? So I don't really hear the third and fourth and second divorces or marriages, and I think that makes people a little bit more optimistic or even naive into thinking that, oh, we're older, we've been there, done that, we learned from the other marriage, so we're going to do so much better this next time around. And so, I don't know, I think that probably, I don't know, maybe that even plays a role in them hanging in there a little bit longer, because I think, too, people don't want to be twice divorced. Like, they don't want to admit, like, I failed at this twice, which, to me, I would just be like, whatever, it is what it is. People just put too much on marriages. I wouldn't really look at it as like you failed from it twice. I would look at it as it's just like another relationship that didn't work. You're not sitting here counting all the other relationships you had that you broke up with this person. So why does marriage, it's just too much value put on marriage. It's just too much put on it that it doesn't deserve, because what's so great about it? So what happens after divorce? Okay, I already read that. So crude divorce rate versus refined. Okay, we're not doing all that. Divorce rate has decreased from a rate of 4 to 2 since 2000. So both the marriage and the divorce rate have declined over time. In 2000, a total of 944,000 divorces and annulments occurred. The crude divorce rate was 4 per population during that year. I don't know what that means. Then it says by 2021, it had fallen to 2.5 per 1,000 population. Okay, so I think they were saying before it was 4 per 1,000. Now it's 2.5 per 1,000 in 2021 for divorce and annulments. And it says with just 689,308 people divorcing that year. Why does that number sound familiar? Did they say that earlier in the? Yep, in 2000. Yep, they said it earlier. Okay, I was like, I feel like I've seen it before. Okay, so trying to get back to where I was. I did not realize this article was going to be this long. Wow. So the marriage rate has declined too, dropping from 8.2 per population in 2000 to 6 per population. And when they say per population, I'm assuming, yes, they're saying per 1,000 populations, per 1,000 people. So the third marriages have the highest divorce rate, 73%. Ugh. Why are we still getting married this third time around? So many people accept it as fact that half of all marriage, okay, I'm not going to do this. They keep repeating themselves. Those who wed multiple times face a far higher rate of divorce. In fact, 67% of second marriages end and 73% of third marriages are dissolved. So we already had that conversation. I guess it's people just don't put up with as much. They've been there, done that. They're older, they're and they know what a divorce entails, so they're more likely to just feel like, yeah, I did it once, I can do it again. Versus the first time you've never done it, you're probably really scared. You don't know how it's going to end up. And plus, the older you are, you're probably also more financially stable, so you're able to walk away. More, have a more higher likely chance of walking away and being okay than when you're younger. Especially also given the fact that a lot of people, obviously, on the first marriage are raising children. And so the second and third marriages are like probably no kids involved. So you're just like, this isn't working. I'm out of here. So 40% of new marriages include a partner who is remarrying. The majority of marriages, 60%, are first marriages for both partners. But as many as 20% of unions involve one person who has been married before, while another 20% are repeat marriages for both parties. Okay, that's 60, 70, 80, 90. I'm confused. So that's 60. Okay, I'm not doing this because I'm not great at math, so we're not going to do that. So only 6% of divorced couples remarry each other. Great. Okay, so a total of 60% of divorced couples get married to each other. When this occurs, the odds of future success are high. That's good to know. They said a full 72% of reunited couples remain married after reuniting. Okay, yeah, that's good. And that makes sense. It's like the odds are in your favor. You're marrying someone you've already known, you've already been married to them, and if you're choosing to go down the aisle again to remarry them, chances are you're going to stay married to this person the second time around, right? So, yeah, that's a good thing. So divorcees are more likely to die earlier than married people. So divorces can have surprising and long-lasting consequences. One of those consequences is an increased risk of early death. Sadly, the mortality rate is 1,363 per 1,000 for divorcees compared with 779 per 1,000 for married couples. Divorced men bear the brunt of this increased risk, with mortality rates of 1,772 per 1,000 compared to divorced women with mortality rates of 1,095 per 100,000. So you would think, with knowing that men should be shamed more because they're dying at a higher rate when they're divorced versus the women. So the majority of divorces own their home. Great. Couples who live together before marriage are more likely to divorce. So living together prior to marriage is one predictor of the likelihood of divorce. That's so weird. You would think that'd be a good thing. Like, you got to know this person, their eccentric behaviors and how they like things. You get to see them up close and personal on a daily basis and just kind of get into a groove before you get married. So it's kind of strange that would be a precursor to a higher rate of divorce. So living together prior to marriage is one predictor of likelihood of divorce. A total of 57% of couples who did not cohabitate prior to marriage had a union that lasted 20 or more years, compared with just 46% who did live together before tying the knot. That's really not that high of numbers. 46 compared to 57 is not that big of a deal. Many factors could explain this, including the fact that couples with stronger religious beliefs may be both less likely to live together before marriage and less likely to divorce. Does not hold any bearing on or carry any weight on love being there. When religion comes into me, when religion comes into me, it just gives oppression. So having friends who are divorced increases your risk of divorce. Most common reasons for divorce are lack of commitment, is the most common reason. Marriage is not always easy, so success requires both spouses to be dedicated. 75% of individuals and couples cited lack of commitment as the reason for the divorce. This is the most common cause of a marriage, exceeding even infidelity. 60% is, so I would say 15% more, I guess. Anyways, is divorced couples cited infidelity as a reason. Domestic abuse prompts a divorce in 24% of cases. I'm actually surprised that number's not higher. So the top reasons for divorce is lack of commitment, infidelity or extramarital affairs, too much conflict and arguing, getting married too young, financial problems. Mine was actually probably getting married too young. I felt like I had more life to live before like being stuck to someone. I also think that the reason like you may have gotten a divorce might play a role in potentially it being successful the next time around. Like if you felt like you were too young the first time, like it wasn't infidelity or anything like that, I feel like you meet the right person, you are having a higher chance of it working the second time around because you're not so young anymore. So that factor is gone. The other issue that cause divorce is financial problems, 37%, substance abuse is 35%, domestic violence is 24%, lack of support from family is 18%. I think that's when people like hate your spouse and they're like almost basically cutting you off to some degree because they don't want to deal with your spouse. Health problems, 17%. The religious differences, 13%. Little or no premarital education, 13%. So basic incompatibility and money issues are among the top reasons for divorce. Couples divorce for many other reasons as well, other than a lack of commitment or infidelity. Here are the three top causes. 58% of couples say that it was too much arguing and excess conflict, basically too much damn drama. 45% of divorcing couples indicate they married too young. Like I said, that was me. 38% report financial problems as a divorce cause. The final straw causing divorce is most commonly infidelity, domestic violence, and substance abuse. Let's jump back in here. So 66% of men and 74% of women think their partners should have worked harder to save their marriage. Over 70% of couples report not understanding the realities or stages of marriage. I think I fell under that. So it says 72% of couples reported they didn't fully understand the commitment involved in marriage before they tied the knot. And many divorced people said they were surprised their partner changed over their marriage and were unable to personally cope with new problems that arose over time. I think that also falls into my category of why we got a divorce. Like I was too young, and then I also just didn't understand like how to work through like conflict resolution. Like I felt like if we're arguing too much, I was like still in fairy tale land. So I feel like if we're arguing too much, that means we should get a divorce. But that's really not the case. And I don't know how to come back from relationships sometimes once they get really sour. I hate that word. Once they get really stale, like really bad, I don't know how to fix it. And it just continues to decline into like hell. But yeah, so they're talking about the states that have the most divorce rate. We're not going to get into that. Okay, that's weird. This is the country with the highest divorce rate is Maldives, I guess. Okay, it's too much. Let's see here. There's only 2 countries where divorce is illegal: the Philippines and the Vatican City. Wow. Okay. Divorce rates by occupation. So gaming managers and bartenders have the highest divorce rates. I can't. Okay, so let's read the list of the people who have the highest divorce rates, which is really strange. I guess this is all over the country. I mean, all over the world. So it's gaming managers at 52.9% have a higher, that's their divorce rate. Bartender, 52.7. Flight attendant, 50.5. Game service workers, 50.3. Rolling machine setters, 50.1. Switchboard operators, 49.7. Extruding and drying machine setters, 49.6. Telemarketers, 49.2. Textile machine operators, 48.9. Compacting machine setters, operators, and tenders, 48.8. That's weird. They said that this is where the lowest divorce rates are. As actuaries, I have no clue what that is, 17%. Physical scientists, 18.9%. Medical scientists, 19.6%. Clergy, 19.8%. Software developers, 20.3%. Physical therapists, 20.7%. Optometrists, 20.8%. Chemical engineers, 21.1%. Religious and education directors, 21.3%. Physicians and surgeons, 21.8%. I'm really surprised to not see cops on there anywhere, or military for that matter. Okay, here we go. So industries with the lowest divorce rate. Architecture and engineering is 27.5%. Computers and mathematics, 27.6%. Military, 28.3%. Life, physical, and social sciences, 28.5%. Education and library, 30.1%. Healthcare, 31.6%. Community and social services, 32.5%. Farming, fishing, and forestry, 33%. Finance, 33.9%. And legal, 35%. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, the military is that really, I'm not gonna lie, it surprised me that it came on that list as number 3 on top of that. I didn't expect to see it on the list, and I definitely didn't expect to see it at number 3. And this is an interesting, yeah, so military basically has the 3rd lowest divorce rate, because they're saying the architecture and engineering has the lowest divorce rate, so 27.5%. I mean, military is not that far behind at 28.3%. Okay, the office and administration industry have the highest divorce rates. I'm not even sure why. That's interesting. So the office and administration support divorce rate is 41%, transportation 41%, protective services 40%, personal care and service 40%, installation, maintenance, and repair workers 39%, healthcare support 39%, production 39%, sales 38%, buildings and grounds cleaning 38%, food preparation and serving 37%. Then you're looking at divorce rates by income. The divorce rate steadily decreases from 40% to 30% as income increases. Okay, so as couples' incomes increase, divorce rates tend to decrease, but only to a certain point. Once a couple has a household income of around $200,000, divorce rates remain steady at around 30%. The rate of divorce does not decline again until household income reaches $600,000, at which point it drops closer to 25%. However, once income exceeds $600,000, the rate of divorce once again begins to steadily climb back up to 30%. This suggests that increasing income can reduce the risk of divorce, but once income climbs too high, a different set of complications can threaten the stability of a marriage. Divorce rates are higher among couples below the poverty line. So one study found that 46% of adults ages 18 to 55 who live below the poverty level have divorced. I don't know what that number was there for. The American Community Survey conducted by the U.S. Census also revealed that 12% of men and 19% of women who live below the poverty line were divorced in 2022. Divorce rates are similar among men and women, not in the labor force. So when one partner does not work, this can impact the chances of a marriage surviving. This is true regardless of whether a male or a female partner remains at home. In 2022, for example, 21% of divorce involved men not in the labor force, and 22% of divorces involved women who were not working. Okay, so one of your spouses stay at home, that's your rate. It's 21 or 22, depending on your gender. Then you have divorce rates by age. Couples who marry before the age 32 experience lower divorce rates. I'm really surprised by this. There is a sweet spot in terms of marital age for those looking for the least risk of divorce. That's because couples who marry at 25 are 50% less likely to divorce compared with couples who marry at age 20. But for those who marry after age 32, divorce rates increase by 5% per year until the age they are wed. What is this? Those who marry after the age 32, the divorce rates increase by 5% per year until the age they are wed. Okay, that's crazy. The average age of people who divorced in 2022 is 46% for men and 44% for women. As people grow older, the chance they have ended in marriage increases. In fact, 42% of people between the ages of 45 and 54 have been divorced. This makes sense as it takes time both to get married and time for the union to fail. The median age of a first marriage is increasing. Many couples have chosen to delay marriage, often for financial reasons or due to changing cultural norms. In fact, in 2022, the median age of marriage was 32 for men and 30 for women. By contrast, in 2012, the average age for women marrying was 26, and the average age for men marrying was 28. These older marriages could potentially increase the divorce risk if couples are waiting too long to tie the knot and face increased difficulties learning to cohabitate and merge their lives. The divorce rate of baby boomers is increasing. So adults aged 55 to 64 have a divorce rate of 46%. Adults ages 65 to 74 have a divorce rate of 39%. Adults aged 75 or older have a divorce rate of 24%. It's actually interesting. It seems like their divorce rate is creeping up. That's interesting. That's weird. Like, it sounds like they're saying it backwards. Because to me, it's going down the older you get. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, 69% of divorces are initiated by women. Women are far more likely than men to initiate divorce. In fact, nearly 7 in 10 marriage dissolutions are initiated by the female partner. This is based on research involving heterosexual couples. Women often carry more of the mental load in a relationship and also take on a primary caregiving role for children. The added burden they face, especially when they feel their support system is lacking, could help to explain why they are more likely to initiate divorce. The divorce rate for women is 7.6 per 1,000 women over the age of 15. In 2019, 7.6 per 1,000 women over age 15 divorced. This is a substantial decrease from 9.7% new divorces per 1,000 women 15 and over, which was the number of divorces among women in 2009. Then you have the divorce rates by ethnicity. The divorce rate for white couples is 15.1%. The marriage rate among these couples is 32.1%. The divorce rate for black couples is 30.8%, and the marriage rate is 17.3%. We're almost the complete opposite of white people. Oh, that's like crazy to me. So, and the divorce rate for Hispanic couples is 18.5%, and their marriage rate is 33.2%. They're actually more identical, like similar to white couples than black couples. Black people, when it comes to marriage, we are in some dire circumstances. Like, you really do need to consider dating out, because I think it's our culture that really discourages like marriage and relationships and healthy relationships. So yeah, the divorce rate is going to be higher because of that. The divorce rate for people with an education of high school or less is 39% for men and 37% for women. The divorce rate for people with an advanced education defined as having more than a bachelor's degree is 26% for men and 30% for women. So it seems like they're saying like as education levels increase, the chances of divorce decrease. And then you have 29% of men and 32% of women with a bachelor's degree or higher were divorced in 2022. So basically, the higher the education rate, hold on a second, because they said high school, yeah. The higher the education, the least likely you are to get a divorce, because I feel like it's because you're more cultured, you're more intelligent, so you're going to pick a better partner, So it just kind of like rolls into the next thing. Like one thing, it's kind of like the domino effect or whatever you want to call it. So like one thing is cause and effect, like because of this is the case here. So college educated women are most likely to have a lasting marriage. Earning a degree significantly decreases the chances of a woman divorcing. The benefits apply only when the degree is earned, though. Women who attend some college but who do not graduate are far less likely than their credentialed counterparts to remain married. Okay. In fact, while 78% of women with a bachelor's degree have a marriage that lasts at least 20 years, just 49% of women with some college education reach this milestone. And just 40% of women with a high school education or less have a marriage that lasts 20 years or more. So 78% if you had the bachelor's degree that you actually obtained it. And then 40% with the marriage that worked if you just went to college and didn't get your degree. Then they have divorce rates by religion. Ugh, I'm not a religion-y person. So they're saying people without a religion or unaffiliated have a divorce population of 11%. Oh my gosh, you all are going to be shocked. Wow. So it says, this is not necessarily to mean their followers adhere to these tenets. Wow. So they say many religions discourage the practice of divorce. However, this does not necessarily mean their followers adhere to those, the covenants or those rules, so to speak, or laws, whatever you want to call it. So you have the religion with the lowest divorce population is Hindu. While 60% of the Hindu population is married, just 5% of members of this demographic are divorced. The religion with the highest divorce population is evangelical Protestants. So evangelical Protestants divorce at a higher rate than any other religious group. While 55% of this population is married, 14% are divorced. This is more than double the percentage of divorced Hindus. So basically, like, only over a little bit of half of that population isn't even married to begin with. And out of that population, 40% of them end up divorced at some point. People without a religious unaffiliated have a divorced population of 11%. So I'm not going to jump the gun here, but I'm like, this is sounding like what I'm thinking is sounding like. So it says, those not affiliated with any religion are less likely to marry and more likely to divorce than individuals with religious beliefs. Just 37% of the unaffiliated population is married, while 11% are divorced. This is weird. Because this evangelical Protestant is 14% are divorced, while the unaffiliated people or just spiritual people are 11%. Hold on a second. 5% of members of divorce, correct. Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's a little bit disingenuous with that information. I see it as, if you don't follow, it's like you're just a spiritual, you just believe in a higher power. You don't buy into the church and all that extra stuff. You're not thumping the Bible. You're just kind of going off of like how you feel from within, etc., to follow God and listen to Him and pray to Him. But honestly, it seems like they are doing better when it comes to not getting a divorce than the evangelical Protestants, which I'm sure they're not going to have that on the late night news or on primetime TV. So you have families with children. 70% of children live with both parents who are married. Well, that's sweet. Having more children does not increase the risk of divorce, of course. It's like, why would it? So the good news for parents who want large families is that more kids does not increase the risk of divorce. In fact, while 17% of couples with 2 children experience divorce, this number dropped to 13% of couples with 3 children. Booyah! I read somewhere that having 3 children is like the sweet spot for a family. I do not know why. I grew up with a sibling, so it was like the 3 of us. And I don't know, maybe it's just they have playmates and they're not going to fight as much because they have like a person in the middle, like a mediator type deal. I have no clue. But that's just what it was. Divorce settlements can also shed light on how common divorce is, as well as on what is likely to happen when a marriage ends. Couples can reach a settlement when their union is dissolved. Their settlement will address issues such as property division, child custody, alimony, and child support, which we're all familiar with. Couples can negotiate on these issues with the help of an experienced divorce attorney, or can go to court where their attorney can help them make a persuasive case to the judge for their preferred outcome. What was I about to say? Okay. So, I don't know. I was thinking something now that the thought has left my head. All right, so the most expensive divorce, Bill and Melinda Gates. 50% of married couples report signing a prenup. All right, so there you go. Those are statistics. It didn't really talk about I guess what I wanted to talk about. But yeah, so that's his stats. And it's like, I just don't buy into marriage. I really do feel like if you tried it once, it didn't work, just let bygones be bygones. But I guess it also depends on like why you got divorced. But for me, I'm good. I don't need it. More people marry each year than divorce. Couples tend to divorce after a decade. I don't know why they wait that long. About half of divorcees remarry. This is what probably I wanted to look at. 64% of the men remarry and 52% of the women remarry. The divorce rate has decreased, because people aren't getting married as much. Divorced friends increase your risk of divorce. Thank you. Lack of commitment is the common reason. Most divorcees believe that they did all they could to save their marriage. Nevada has the highest divorce rate. Oof, don't move to Nevada. Couples who marry before 32 have lower divorce rates. Isn't that crazy? I really would think that the people who got married at 32 or a little bit higher would be more mature and have learned some life about, have learned about relationships enough to be able to make their marriage work, and should be going in with eyes wide open. But I think the reality is women are so desperate for marriage, they'll take anything. So anywho, so that's all I wanted to talk about, was like, not everybody is jumping for joy to have marriage. Especially if you already did it, it is very unlikely that women are going to want to remarry again in their lifetimes, because there's not a benefit. There's barely a benefit the first time. I think when you have young children in the house, then it's a benefit. You have more help. You can leave and do things you want to do because the other parent's there. It's just one thing after another. But anyways, so thanks for watching, you all. Let me know what you think about these marriage statistics, and what do you think about marriage and divorce and all that good stuff. Like I said, me personally, I am not a fan of marriage. I feel like it has a place maybe somewhere, but I really don't feel like it is a reasonable institution. I think that's why they're going to keep it in place, because nobody really is not really it's hard to say it. It's not really something that people understand completely. Like it's like you kind of don't know like what's allowed and what's not with your marriage. So anyways, okay, you all, so thanks for listening. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.